What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again, discussing the latest episode of the new HBO limited series by the name of Scenes from a Marriage. And today we're breaking down episode 2, which was titled Poli, an episode in which we have a lot to unpack, unlike Mira and her luggage in this episode. We're breaking it all down here in the spoiler review, but before we do so, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, well, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. That way you can get the alert for when I drop new content. If you all enjoyed this spoiler discussion, well, make sure to like and share this review. It helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate the support. And in those comments, let's unpack this episode together, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think it's a matter of who was right and who was wrong, but if you want to pose it that way in the comments, by all means do so. But I do think there's a conversation to be had in regards to the responsibility of the person that no longer wants to be in a relationship versus the person that maybe did or didn't see the signs that the relationship was going away. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about should partners be able to pleasure themselves with or without the acknowledgement of their other partner. I mean, there's so much to go over, and I want to talk about it with you all in the comments below. So before we dive into it, I want to thank you all first and foremost for participating and engaging in my first review of this show. I knew off the bat that this show wasn't going to be for everyone. The pacing, the topic at hand was going to be something that people wanted to, watch week to week. This is my type of show. I love diving into relationships and topics like this. So for all you all that wanted me to come back to review it, here we are discussing it. Again, thank you for the support, and let's continue the conversation in the comments below. So first and foremost, man, this episode was a lot to take in. Number one, I've been in the position of Jonathan, never in a marriage, but I've been in a relationship where things didn't work out, and hearing similar things, not to the exact, we'll talk about it in the breakdown, but just knowing that someone you've been in a relationship for a long time is no longer wants to be in that relationship is a lot to take in. And again, there's no matters of being right and being wrong. The heart knows what the heart wants, and things run its course, as harsh and as bleak as it may sound, but things like this happen a lot of times, but doesn't make it less of a like, okay, this happens to everyone, doesn't make it easier, right? So this episode was fantastic. I can't think of a movie or a show that had a 25-30 minute argument. We see long extended fight scenes, horror scenes, comedy moments, but I can't think of an argument that lasted this long. The only thing that kind of comes to mind, it wasn't even half of this length, it was probably 7 to 8 minutes, Scenes of Marriage or Marriage Story, I'm sorry, with ScarJo and Adam Driver when they're fighting in his apartment, and he's like, I wish you would die. Like, that was pretty intense, and this was that times 10, not to like the going at each other, but in regards to just an argument that lasted that long was pretty crazy to see, and I thought it was just really well acted, and there was a lot of things I'm like, been there, done that. So let's talk about it in the comments, your pros, your cons, your thoughts, and just let's discuss it all in the comment section. So let's break it all down as we open up with another cold open, seeing the actors behind the scenes getting ready to be in the scene, but this time around we see it from Oscar Isaac's perspective. I wonder if we're going to continue to see that, if there's going to be other actors preparing for the scene, if it's going to be next week Jessica Chastain, the week after that, Oscar Isaac, then the finale is going to be both of them prepping the scene, but neither here nor there. Let's talk about these scenes from a marriage. As we first off start with Jonathan, who we all know from last week. He's a stay-at-home dad. He spends more time with Ava, and I think there's definitely more. That's a conflict, right, within a relationship, that he seems to be more emotionally available as a parental in this situation, where it seems like, because we learn in this scene that Ava's like, oh, and when is mommy coming home? And I'm excited to see her. Oh, she'll be back. It seems like she goes on a lot of business trips for business and pleasure that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But this is one topic that I want to start off with. As we see Jonathan make his way after Ava goes to bed, makes his way up to the attic, which caused a lot of problems. Makes his way up to the attic, and he proceeds to put on some pornography and do the things that people do when they do that, which is my first topic at hand. And again, this is a safe haven. This is a safe space. If you guys want to share it, if you don't, totally fine. But if you guys want to talk about it, let's talk about it in the comments. But in a relationship, whether you're married or, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case may be, are you okay with, number one, your partner pleasuring themselves? And if you are okay with it, do you want to know that they're doing that, or would you prefer not to know? I'm just kind of curious. Me personally, and believe it or not, I've never really been a big porn guy, because I've always just been like, hey, I have a partner that I can do those things with instead of for watching someone else do those things, right? This is my personal opinion on the matter, but not saying I haven't done it, but it's just I'm not that frequently doing that type of thing, and nothing wrong with it by any means, by the way. But I'm just kind of curious how you all feel about that topic in a relationship. I guess another thing is, are you okay with him doing that, even if you don't even know or not? Do you feel like it's okay for your partner to do that? But then again, the question at hand is, if they are doing it, do you want to know or do you not want to know? Let me know in the comments. So that's the one topic. Let us discuss it in the comment section. But we got a lot more to discuss and topics to handle in this episode. As we see, Mira makes her way home a little bit early, and just right off the bat, you can tell that there's tension. You know that there's something wrong. And then immediately, as I'm seeing her phone blowing up, I'm like, who the heck is that blowing her phone up? And I'm just like, oh, this is gonna get into the thick of things. But we see, and this is something too that I guess I've learned within these first 2 episodes, we're gonna be time jumping. I've never seen the original scenes from Mira, so I don't know if that's the same thing that happened in that miniseries, 40 whatever years ago. But we saw a time jump in episode 1 when we didn't see the discussion about the abortion, and then we see in this episode that I believe they said it's been months since episode 1, so there's been a lot of time that has passed from when we first met them. But let's get into this conversation. As it starts off small, and we all know when it's a small argument, it's really something bigger than what it really is. That's really not the root of the problem. There's more to it. There's more of a foundation to that main issue at hand. But it starts off a little bit small, right? We're playing tennis, little, back and forth going right here as it's brought up about the attic being renovated. And at first I'm like, oh, this is kind of a lightweight conversation, right? In regards to, I can see both sides of the perspective. Mira just got home. She's really not concerned about the, the renovation. She just wants to relax and get back into the routine of things. And then on the other side of the conversation, I'm like, oh, I can see Jonathan's perspective. This might be a frequent thing where Mira does something and she drops it off. She does something, drops it off. But it seems like the one thing that doesn't get dropped off is her work. That seems to be the top of mind, top priority. So I was just like, oh, okay, I can kind of see where both of these characters are coming from. But that's nothing compared to what the root of the actual problem is, as we get the truth of why she came home early. And it is because she has fallen out of love, or she doesn't fall out of love with Jonathan, but she's in love with someone else, which is, your heart can't share. I know there's people that can be in multiple relationships and love people, and that's to each his own. I just know for me personally, I can't share my love, that type of love commitment to someone else. But she has fallen in love with someone else. He's a CEO of a company that her company's buying out soon. And this gentleman, Poli by the name, will be making his way into town soon. And this is where we get into Mira really kind of giving Jonathan a little bit of insight of where she's coming from, as she talks about her feeling terrible of the situation. She wanted to stop it, she wanted to quit, but she just couldn't because she's in love with him. And we see that she's like, can you say something? And I don't blame him. I mean, that's a lot to take in. You've been in a 10-year marriage or 12-year relationship. You have a child, and then you're eating pasta. It's whatever, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. You're thinking about the attic being renovated, and then your wife comes to you with this bombshell. So I completely understand of him being speechless. But then the question gets at hand. Did you not see the signs? Did you not see the relationship deteriorating? Which topic at hand, another topic here. Whose responsibility, again, no right and wrong answers, but who do you all think in that particular situation, this scene or in real life, is it the responsibility of the person unhappy to address the unhappiness in relationship to their partner months, weeks, days, hours, minutes prior to them doing something like cheating? Or is it, in this position, Jonathan, should it have been him to be like, hey, I know we're in a rough patch. Is there something on your mind? Are you thinking of infidelity? Are you thinking of having a divorce? Like, should he have approached this and nipped this in the bud? As we learn, has been 8 months that she's been feeling this way. No right or wrong answer, but who do you think is responsible in that situation? I'm just being honest. I think it's the responsibility of that person that is unhappy, regardless of if they feel like it's their partner that isn't really in the relationship in regards to emotionally, sexually. She mentions later on she's not even attracted to him, but I think it's her responsibility. It can be a he if the roles were reversed. I think it's the responsibility of the person that is unhappy to address the situation and not expect their partner to see all the signs. Some signs are very apparent, right? If your significant other's coming in late at night, they're smelling like something else that isn't normally how they smell, then yeah, those are signs. But again, I'm just in the mindset of that person should address the person of their unhappiness versus the other way around. It's just my personal opinion, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. But let's get back into this conversation as she gives him not even an ultimatum. She just says, I'm sorry, but, in 24 hours, I'm going to be gone. There's really nothing you can do about it, which at that point, I'm like, that's kind of a little bit selfish in her way, because not only from a 12-year relationship, but you have a daughter. And I think that takes precedent over if I'm being honest, the partner in a relationship, because I think when you have a kid in mind, I don't think you should just drop out of their lives. She's not saying she's going to never see her again. We'll talk about it a little bit further, but to me, that seems a little bit selfish, in my opinion, that, you know, again, the heart knows what the heart wants, but just to leave your family, and particularly your daughter, just in 24 hours, less than 24-hour notice, is a little bit selfish, in my opinion. But let's go back into it, as then she goes into... This is where, again, I feel like the show is not trying to make you pick a side, but there is moments in this episode where we see Mira trying to normalize the situation or try to ignore the situation, and it's just like, wait, but didn't you want to address it? As she goes upstairs, changes her clothes, she talks about the laundry being done. If I'm Jonathan, I'm like, I don't give a you know what about the laundry. We have something to talk about here. And she just like proceeds to try to make it a little bit more normal. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be gone for 3 months, and I've, you know, come up with this whole elaborate plan without your acknowledgement of how we're going to handle this Ava situation. You know, there's FaceTime, there's Skype, there's Zoom. You know, I'll get her every other weekend. This is when I'm just like, I wasn't a fan of Mira in that moment. Jessica Chastain was playing it perfectly, because if I was Jonathan in that moment, I'm just like, how are you just so normal about this? How is just, because she's obviously practiced this. She's probably talked about it with Poli before. But to me, if I'm Jonathan, I am so angry right now, because it's just like, where is this coming from? So I am at that point, I'm very on Team Jonathan in that moment. Again, I'm not trying to make it a woman versus man situation. I'm just talking about the characters at hand. I feel for Jonathan in that moment, because I feel like this is kind of a left field blindsiding him in this particular moment. But she goes on to further the conversation. She says she wants to proceed with the divorce, which this is the first time I'm assuming that that word has even been spoken in this house, because again, it catches him off guard. She tries to lighten the blow by saying, oh, and by the way, I'll pay, because we know that she's the breadwinner in the family. I'll pay for everything. I'm like, oh, well, isn't that nice? Again, Jonathan, I'm kind of a Jonathan type of person where I'm very kind of like, when I get news that are might not be the best news, I try to not get upset, but I don't know how he wasn't upset at that moment. He gets angry a little bit here in a second, but I'm just like, whew, this is a lot to take in if I'm Jonathan. But let's hear more about her side. As she says, she's been living with this for 8 months, unhappiness, not being happy, not being attracted to her partner. And again, the heart knows what the heart wants, but it didn't help that she felt miserable because she didn't feel like her partner was there for her when they made that decision to have an abortion. So this is where, to me, okay, Elliot, let's get out of your head. Let's hear her out. Let's hear where she's coming from. And I can kind of understand, if you can't even communicate with your partner, what's the point of being in a relationship? Again, I think she should have addressed that when you're having that issue, but you know, that isn't the case. So hearing her side, that she's been feeling miserable, that they had a discussion, but it was just like a couple days, and I guess Jonathan just kind of, you know, didn't really dive deeper into what she maybe wanted to dive into, the root of the problem. But then she gets into saying that ultimately she didn't want to have the kid because that would have been a way, she would have never found a way out of this marriage. So then that's when I'm just like, oh damn, that just erases everything, because in her mind, she never really wanted to have this kid in the first place, because she was thinking about getting out of this marriage even prior to this abortion conversation. So it's just like, I feel strongly about this in reality, but in the context of the show, she should have addressed this months ago, in my personal opinion. But moving on, having, you know, all this stuff here, and having been a person that's been broken up with before, you want answers. And we see Jonathan one of these answers in regards to, how did this take place? How long have you been seeing this person? And this is where he's like, I want to see. Now, I wouldn't go that far. I don't want to see the MFer that my significant other is messing with. But he goes a little bit further, like, I want to see him. And she shows him a picture. Again, I believe he's 29. He's a CEO. She goes into talking about how she went to the party. There was coke and drinks involved, and they stayed in their room for 2 days. So to me, she was just in that kind of young, dumb mindset where, again, I'm married, I have kids, but put that aside. I'm so focused, so infatuated, so in love, so in like someone's giving me attention, which I've heard that argument, right? When someone, male or female, attention, people love attention, right? People love to have their attention, no matter how their personality is. Someone that might not even normally want to be the main star or the main, you know, the life of the party, but everyone seeks attention. And when someone gives you that attention, when you feel like you're not getting it from someone you love, that's how things like this shake out, ladies and gentlemen, at least in my personal opinion. So moving on, Jonathan goes into not trying to fix the situation. He tries to throw the daughter in a situation, but Mira continues to say there's really nothing you can do about it, and I think it's best for me, best for you, but more importantly, best for the family. And he tries to say, hey, can we go to therapy? Can we do this, that, and the other? And she's very persistent, like, I don't think, not that I don't think, this is not going to work, and this is going to be the situation at hand. I'm going to leave you. As we move on with, after this conversation, this confusion, this arguing, this crying, they finally go to bed, and then she hugs him and holds him when they go to bed. I'm like, this is not making matters any better with her showing this type of intimacy towards her soon-to-be ex-husband. But moving on to the morning, the next morning, where we see, again, sensitivity levels on 0. Mira, she wakes up. She's like, oh, goddamn, I got a plane to catch. As she's rushing to the shower, they're brushing her teeth in silence. And this is where things start to get a little bit, I think Jonathan starts to realize this is happening. This wasn't a dream. This is really taking place, as she's throwing her clothes in her luggage, literally taking clothes out of the closet, not even taking them off of the hangers. And Jonathan, it just kind of goes to show you his type of personality. He helps her in this moment. That's the last thing I would have been doing personally, but he helps her. There's a little bit of a scuffle. I didn't replay the scene. I don't know if he pushed her, if she slipped, but there's a little bit of a scuffle there. She falls and hits the door, and he proceeds. And I love that the camera never panned away. We see this man literally unfold, or undoing her mess, taking the clothes off the hanger and folding them, and proceeds to put all the stuff in the package for his wife to go to another man. I don't know if he was just in awe. I don't know if he was like an out-of-body experience, if it was just kind of like, I don't know if he was thinking, if I help her, she might feel bad and come back. I don't know, but if I was Jonathan, I would have been throwing those clothes outside. No, I wouldn't have been doing that, because I don't think people should harm people's personal property or whatnot. But I wouldn't have been packing the bag. That's all I'll say, and helping her with the bag. But as we wrap up, she has no pause button at this point in the episode. She's dragging her luggage. She can't even say bye to her daughter, and nothing. By the way, she's banging the luggage against the ground, waking her daughter up, but she didn't. But Jonathan again tries to talk to her, and she doesn't want to hear it. She feels like she's a prisoner, and then she even goes to the level where she admits, she says, how do you fix not being attracted to your partner? And at that point, I think Jonathan, he hears it, but he doesn't hear it, right? This is the signs maybe that she was referring to earlier. And we go on to see that he tries to hug her, and I got emotional at this point, because again, I've been in that position where it's just like, you don't want to hear it. You just want your partner. You want to go back to those earlier days. You want to go back to those happier moments. You want to go back to when you first met, and just hearing those words, we're going to be together forever. And then it's in that moment where it's just like, well, what happened? Where did things go wrong? It just hits you all at once. We see this desperation hug. She's just like, she's embracing it, but she eventually lets him go, gets out of the house, doesn't even say, well, she says, I'm going to call Ava to pick her up from school, or whatever the case may be, and can't even look at him, just runs out of the house. Hair still wet, by the way. She's going to get pneumonia. That's where my head goes. But I'm just like, damn. And we see Jonathan doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have anyone to talk to, so he proceeds to call Peter and Kate and asks to talk to Kate, and Kate knew about it, obviously. And I'm thinking to myself, Kate's the last person I'm calling, because we know from last week, number one, he doesn't know that she kissed his wife, but also that she was in an affair. So I'm just like, I am not calling Kate. Either way, Kate knew about it. Peter knew about it. He's pissed off. He doesn't even want to hear their voices anymore. And we end with the episode ending with Ava going and seeing her dad just being broken, being torn down, and doesn't know what to do. So, man, and another question: if you're Peter or Kate, if you're in that situation, I'm just curious. Do you tell that other person? If you are Kate, do you tell Jonathan that she's having an affair? If you're Peter, Kate's or Jonathan's friend, do you tell your friend that your wife cheated on you and planning on leaving you? I would tell my friend, even though if I'm friends with the person that's cheating, I just feel like it's right. I know I'm not a person that gets in people's drama, gets in people's Kool-Aid, but when there's kids involved and there's a marriage involved, I think it's just morally, I think I would have to tell my friend in that situation. I know not everyone would do that, and I've never been in that situation, by the way, but I just think I would want to tell my friend. But who knows? I've never been in that situation. Knock on wood, I've never been in that situation, but I'm just curious what you all would do in that scenario. End of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Man, this, like I said, there's so much to unpack, so many questions that I pose to you all that I would love to know your comments in the comment section. Again, pleasuring yourself? Should your partner know? If they do know, do they feel comfortable with it? Do you feel comfortable with it? Who's right, who's wrong in a situation regarding the responsibility of the person that doesn't feel like they're slipping out of a relationship, and they should approach their partner, let them know that, hey, before things proceed to me having an affair or seeing someone else, this is how I feel. Let's try to figure it out, or let's break up at that point. Or is it the person to see all the signs and to address it at that point? Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. And again, who would, if you're a friend, do you tell your friend that your wife, that their significant other is cheating on them and going to leave them? Let me know in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I wanted to cover this show. This isn't a murder mystery. This isn't a whodunit. This isn't a, how are they going to save the world? This is a show about real life situations, relationships, and this is why I'm doing this, to talk to you all, interact with you all. So let's talk about it in the comments. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Before you leave, make sure to like, share. Again, share your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell. That way you don't miss my, hit it hard. That way you don't miss any of my future reviews. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you enjoyed the review. Make sure to subscribe and check out my other content. See you all on the next video.